Lil Durk, Grammy-winning rap superstar, now faces the fight of his life, not for a chart-topping single, but for his very freedom. Once celebrated for his meteoric rise from Chicago's tough streets to the top of the music world, Durk now finds himself at the center of a legal storm that threatens everything he's built. While his music soared and his fan base grew, federal prosecutors were quietly building a case, accusing him of orchestrating a deadly murder-for-hire plot. The indictment sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community, raising questions about the blurred lines between art and real life. According to the government, Durk allegedly led a violent street crew, using his influence and resources to settle scores with deadly force. Authorities claim his connections to the streets never faded, even as his fame skyrocketed. The target of this alleged plot? Rival rapper Quando Rondo, whose own notoriety only fueled the media frenzy. But in the chaos that erupted, it was Rondo's cousin, Saviaya Robinson, who tragically lost his life, an innocent caught in the crossfire of a feud that spiraled out of control. Now, Durk sits behind bars, denied bail by a judge who labeled him both a flight risk and a danger to witnesses. The weight of the accusations hangs heavy, as the world debates his guilt or innocence. His legal team, a group of seasoned defense attorneys, is working around the clock, preparing for a trial that could end his career and his freedom forever. This isn't just another celebrity court case, it's a dramatic collision of hip-hop fame, street loyalty, and the unforgiving federal justice system. The stakes have never been higher. As the October 2025 trial date approaches, the world waits with bated breath. Was Lil Durk truly the mastermind behind the violence? Or is he a scapegoat caught in a web of accusations and rivalries? Ultimately, it will be up to the jury to answer the most crucial question: who truly pulled the strings that fateful night, and will justice be served? The charges are severe: conspiracy to commit murder for hire, racketeering and stalking resulting in death. Prosecutors allege Durk used his OTF collective as a front for organized crime, directing others to kill Quando Rondo. 5 alleged OTF members are charged alongside him, painting a picture of a violent enterprise. The government must prove Durk directly ordered the hit, not just that he disliked his rival. They hint at a wider pattern of violence, suggesting Durk's ties to other unsolved crimes. The defense will fight to keep these explosive claims out of court, but the prosecution is determined to paint Durk as a criminal mastermind. The prosecution's case relies on wiretaps, digital forensics, and witness testimony, not a smoking gun. They'll present intercepted calls, text messages, and cell phone data to map the accused near the crime scene. Surveillance footage and cooperating witnesses will attempt to tie Durk to the plot. But every piece of evidence is open to challenge. The defense will argue coded language is misinterpreted, cell phone pings are imprecise, and witnesses are unreliable. They'll attack the credibility of informants, exposing their motives and deals. The prosecution's arsenal is powerful, but far from foolproof. Every detail will be fiercely contested in court. Durk's defense team is preparing to systematically dismantle the credibility of the government's witnesses, aiming to portray them as desperate individuals willing to say anything to save themselves. The defense will highlight inconsistencies in their testimonies, question their motives, and suggest that these witnesses are unreliable, driven by personal gain or pressure from prosecutors. By casting doubt on their stories, the defense hopes to undermine the very foundation of the prosecution's case. They'll also aggressively challenge the legality of the wiretaps and scrutinize every detail of the digital evidence. The defense will argue that some of this evidence was obtained improperly, or that it's been misinterpreted and taken out of context. They'll question whether the surveillance was justified, and whether the digital records truly implicate Durk at all. The defense will argue that prosecutors are seeing conspiracy where there's only friendship, and that Durk is being painted as guilty by association rather than by any concrete action. They'll point out that social connections and casual conversations are being twisted into evidence of a criminal plot, when in reality, they may be nothing more than ordinary interactions. Their strategy is to create as much distance as possible between Durk and his co-defendants, insisting that he had no knowledge of or involvement in the alleged crime. The defense will emphasize that Durk's presence in certain places or his association with certain people does not make him complicit. They'll argue that he was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. They'll repeatedly emphasize the glaring lack of direct evidence: no recording, no email, no text message, and no order from Durk tying him to the crime. The defense will stress that speculation and circumstantial evidence are not enough to convict, and that the prosecution's case is built on assumptions rather than facts. Finally, they'll pose a powerful question to the jury. Why would a global superstar, with so much to lose and everything to gain from staying out of trouble, risk his entire career and freedom for a petty act of revenge? The defense will argue that it simply doesn't make sense. Ultimately, their goal is to plant reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors, showing that Durk had everything to lose and nothing to gain. If the jury is left with any uncertainty, the defense will argue, the only just verdict is not guilty. In the end, it won't be the headlines, social media debates, or public speculation that determine Lil Durk's fate. Instead, it will come down to 12 ordinary citizens, jurors, tasked with the immense responsibility of deciding his future. The prosecution will paint a picture of Durk as a ruthless gang leader, determined to prove he orchestrated violence. On the other side, the defense will argue he's a targeted artist, unfairly accused because of his fame and the controversies that follow him. The jury must sift through ambiguous evidence, conflicting stories, and witnesses whose credibility is in question. They must remember that the law demands proof beyond a reasonable doubt, a high standard meant to protect the innocent. Co-defendants may choose to cooperate with prosecutors or stand united with Durk. Either decision could dramatically shift the direction of the trial and influence the jury's perception of guilt or innocence. This trial is more than a legal battle. It's a test of whether celebrity status can overshadow the facts, and whether a fair trial is truly possible for someone constantly in the public eye. The jurors must set aside Durk's music, his reputation, and the swirling controversy, focusing solely on the evidence presented in court and the instructions given by the judge. Their verdict will not only determine Durk's fate, but also send a powerful message about justice, the influence of fame, and the heavy burden of proof in America's legal system. As the world watches, the outcome of this trial will echo far beyond the courtroom, shaping conversations about celebrity, justice, and what it truly means to be judged by a jury of your peers.